Welcome everybody on Regola's tutorial on how to use a shared specification and how to share a specification. Now, let's go to Regola's homepage, and as some of you may already know, if you have watched our other tutorials, to work with specifications, create specifications, share specifications, you have to go on the Specify section of the platform. In particular, let's go to the My Specifications tab, where I have already created some specifications. Now let's take the case where I am the person that shares the specification with somebody else outside of my organization. And let's take the case where I want to share the specification that I have here, railway track model specification. Now this specification basically defines the assemblies in a railway track according to some ex-stakeholder requests. Plus, it defines also the properties and the value of the properties that I want associated to the elements of this railway track. Now, to share my specification, I can use the three buttons, the three dots menu, and use the share option. Now, whenever I select the share option, it tells me, of course, that it will make this specification public, and the only way to share it is to create a link and share this link or send this link to whomever I want to share the specification with. So in this case, I will create my link. In this case, I have to copy it, and then I have to send it to somebody else. Now, let's take the case where I am a new person that received the link, and I use this link on another web page to actually access the specification. Of course, this means that at the moment I am not inside Regola, but I just used the link that I received in a common page. And this is what happens. I will basically have a view of the specification where it tells me the name of the specification, that this is a shared specification. I have the option of viewing it in Regola or to create an account in case where I don't already have an account. In case I select view in Regola, I will be redirected to the sign-in page. If I don't want to use the specification, I do not have to sign in Regola, but if I want to just check it out and look at it, I can see already from here a description, the last updated on date and the created on date, and then the rules that are included in the specifications or that compose this specification. In particular, you see here that I have a list of rules regarding property sets, property values, and properties included in the property sets, and a rule about the assembly composition. Now let's take a brief look at all these rules. First rule checks that the model contains at most the requested list of property sets. So associated to this rule, I have a data requirements file, a parameters file, as you can see, and I can click on it and preview its contents. In this case, what happens is that whoever created the specification associated this file to these rules because it contains the stakeholders parameters file. And as you can see, I have an entity, which is a sleeper, okay, that has to have a certain list of property sets, so a certain property sets with properties, property value type that is expected, and the list of possible values for the property itself. Same thing happens for another entity, which is a check rail. It has to have a property set called structure with these properties, tile model and panel, that have this property value type with this list of possible values. Same parameters file has been associated to all the other rules regarding property sets. The second rule checks that the model contains the requested list of properties at most for the given property set, so that that property set has those properties, that the values in the model for the properties belong to that list of value that was defined here in the file, and that the values are not null and empty, and that the property value types are found exactly in the model as they are in the requested parameters file. Now the last rule is the one that checks the assembly composition, so that the assembly is composed or aggregates exactly the number of the elements that I requested. And now I have another parameters file associated to it, where you can see I have another entity, which is an assembly called turnout panel, that should have a minimum, maximum number of other elements that are explicited, that are explained in the element and element type column. As you can see, you have a minimum and maximum of numbers, and if you go and show the notes of the rule that you can do for all the rules, where it tells you the limitations of usage or the rule, or it has some more details, you can see that when the minimum and maximum have the exact same value, it means exactly that number. When maximum is empty, it means that it can have an unlimited number of those elements, or if minimum is empty, it means 0. So for example, turnout panel can have an unlimited number of track element of type frog, or it has to have a maximum number of rail element called rail, but it can be 0 also. And in the case, for example, of sleeper, it has to have exactly one element, track element of type sleeper as a component. So this is what the minimum and maximum means. Now I want to try to use the specification, so I will try to view it in regola. It will of course redirect me to the login page, or you can sign up here through this link. But in this case, I know what I want to do, so I will just sign in on the platform because I have already an account. And I see the exact same view page of the specification. Now, I cannot use the specification, I can only view it at the moment. What I can do is add it to the Shared with Me tab that you can see here under the Specify section on the left. And if I do that, the platform tells me that the specification has been added, and if I go to the Shared with Me tab, I can see the specification here in a catalog of specifications that were shared with me. Important here is that it tells you that it's an external specification and that the owner is somebody else. So what you can do now is you can only view it or delete the link, and in this case you cannot use it anymore. So you cannot modify the specification, but you can also use the specification to validate the BIM model. And to do that, you have to go to the My Validations tab, where you can select the specification shared with you, select the model you want to check, give it a title, let's say track model content test. As you can see below, I have run this test other times, and then click on validate. Okay, so now the report is done, and I can choose a couple of options. I can view it, share it, or delete it. In this case, I want to view it, and now I have my success result of 83%, where it tells me that 5 rules out of 6 passed. As you can see, all the rules regarding the properties have passed. The problem here is the rule regarding the assembly composition, and if I want more details, I can check it out and see, for example, that I have a lot of instances where there are where the element turnout panel doesn't have the requested components or has components that were not requested. Now, the thing to know is that if the person that shared the specification with you originally deletes the shared link, for example, if I go back to my original platform and I'm the person that shared the specification and I don't want anybody to look and use the specification anymore, I can delete the link. This means the specification, the link is not public anymore. And if I go back to the account where I have used the shared specification, so the account of the person that received the specification, and go to the Shared with Me tab, refresh the page, I will see that the specification is not available anymore to use, so I cannot view it, neither use it. If you want to look at the tutorials for regola, you can go here on the question mark on top of the page and click on tutorials. It will redirect you directly to our academy on our official webpage. Those videos are also on our YouTube channel, to which you can subscribe. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them of us by writing to us at support@regola.io or info@regola.io.